Yes, it was.
Oh no.
So it means I have to go back through this show now and then mute it all out. Cheers, Ian. You're making me work a lot harder, man.
Can you not just do it now so that nobody can capture it while it's online?
Fortunately not, my man. I mean, we're obviously live and stuff like that. But yeah, immediately after the show, we'll obviously mute that all out for you, my
man. Oh, for crying out loud.
You know something? That is one way to start a show, Mr. Isaacs.
Look, I didn't see anything below the waist, in fairness.
No, all right. There was nothing below the waist. I was changing my t-shirt, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Like he was just shirtless, man.
Yeah.
Like that's cool. That's all good. It's no big deal.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just saying that. Like today, I will promise you we will edit that out for you. Anyway, guys, welcome to another edition of the Magic of Wrestling podcast. Mr. Isaacs, like I said, it's been a few weeks. Obviously, there's been a bug going around and stuff like that. How are we getting to the end of it? Let's be honest.
Oh my god, dude! This has been a brutal week. It's been a bad, shitty week. I'm just gonna be totally blunt. But I'm on the mend, and it's good. You know, I'm kind of just now trying to take care of myself and clean up in here and everything, get ready for the kids to come back. But I did get some work done this week. I worked from home. They didn't want me to come in since I had the flu. So yeah, it kicked my ass pretty good, bro. But I'm glad to be at the finish line at this point.
100%. Yeah, there's been a bug going around at work as well. It's been so quiet in obviously the warehouse and stuff like that. It's just like, where the fuck is everybody? But you know what? Sometimes you don't mind a bit of quiet.
Yeah, you get the echo effect in there. Liam's like, hello.
What time is dinner? Dinner.
You ask your coworkers what time is dinner?
No, I was just trying to make up for on the spot there. I don't even know where I'm going with this. Dear. Hey, how are you, my man? You all right?
I'm all right. Keeping busy.
Keeping busy as always. Usual work week for you?
Yep, usual work week for me. Just straight into work, back home from work, sleep, up, work, sleep, up, work.
Wow, that sounds actually really fun. Let's be honest.
It was riveting. It was glorious.
It sounds glorious.
Glorious. But yeah, I know how the bugs feel because I had a terrible January where it was ill, and then I finally made it back into the office, and then somebody gave me another bug.
That's the worst, dude.
Yeah. So, yeah, not good.
Not at all. So I imagine that Mr. Isaacs, not much wrestling been watched.
I mean, I still watched. I watched Raw and kind of watched part of Dynamite. And I did my usual watching. I mean, I was just kind of sitting here sick in my chair in front of my big screen TV. So, like, I still watch TV. I just didn't do much of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I've been properly invested with NXT lately, and obviously Vengeance Day is obviously tonight. I am tempted to do a watch along. Yeah, it just depends if I'm still awake. We don't actually know, but that actual card looks pretty stacked.
I forgot that was today, but it does look pretty good from what I've seen of it. I don't keep up with NXT. I try to watch the PLEs sometimes. At least at the moment, I am going to be doing the AFW Network post show for the Collision, the big show they're doing in Australia tonight.
Even though the
so you'll probably catch me over
anyway.
there. What's that?
I think the results have already been dropped, so everyone knows what the results are.
Yeah, it's already been taped. Yeah, I haven't looked at the results. I probably will, but I'm supposed to do that recap show tonight, but that show doesn't even start till 10:30 Eastern time, and I'm like, bro, like you can't like blame me if I'm a fucking corpse when I get on here. I'll give it a shot by all means, but like if I get on here and I'm a fucking corpse and I just ramble, that's on you, bro. Sorry. You asked for the Mr. Isaacs experience, recovering from illness at like 1 o'clock in the morning. By God, that's what you're going to get.
Absolutely. I mean, we've obviously spoke about NXT before we came on the air. It's looking pretty good, the actual roster, let's be honest.
Yep, it's rocking. It's probably the best thing that's on wrestling just now on like normal sort of TV.
I got to check it out. It's just, I'm so like wrestled out that it's like, I just can't. Like on Tuesday, like that has to just be like non-wrestling night for me. It's like I watch Raw, and then I watch Dynamite, and Thursday night I'm not here. I do jujitsu, and then Friday night I watch SmackDown. It's like, God, I gotta have a non-wrestling night in here. It's gonna drive me crazy.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I would ditch Raw or what was it, Dynamite? Probably Dynamite, and just stick to NXT. That's what I would do.
Yeah. You're not alone in that assessment, I don't think. I think a lot of people do that.
No, exactly. But like I said, I mean, I will recommend it to anyone. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the product is really good. And it's also great to see the partnership. We saw Fandango's name's JDC, obviously from TNA now, and it's just nice to see that partnership and stuff.
Oh, Fandango was on there?
Yes, but it was under the name of what using TNA, which is JDC.
Did they at least make mention that he used to be Fandango?
Yeah, they had the music and everything.
Oh, yeah. Huh. I always kind of wondered how they were going to handle that. Like guys with different non-WWE names that are in TNA. Like if Ziggler shows up, are they going to call him Ziggler? Or are they going to call him Nimbus?
Who knows? Who knows? We just never know.
They challenged the NXT for the NXT titles on TNA.
Yeah.
Is that like the first time that's been done as well?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I'm sure it was like the first time seeing it and stuff like that. But let's obviously talk about some things that's been going on since we last obviously did a show together. We've just had the Royal Rumble and stuff like that. Now, Haney, me, you, and a couple of others obviously watched it live, so we're constantly messaging and stuff like that. But what do you reckon to the things overall?
Yeah, it was an interesting event. What was it? Certainly the women's match was predictable. The victor. What was it? I don't think anybody had Jay. Anybody said that Jay was going to win the Royal Rumble? You are lying.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be Jay. It was so predictable.
That's one thing I don't think I've ever heard. I don't think I've heard anybody yet say, I knew it was going to be Jey Uso. I knew they were going to skip over all 15 main event guys and pick Jey Uso.
And it'd be really hypocritical if I was happy about that, because I hold the Usos in the same regard as the Young Bucks. Shit. Maybe not as diarrhea as the Young Bucks, but definitely still in that.
It's all those damn super kicks, man. They need to have a match between the two of them, and the loser retires the super kick.
What they should do is they should have a tie-in with Sniper Elite, and they put snipers on the roof during the match.
Oh, Jesus.
Your anger for the
Eddie's over here advocating assassinations in the middle of a match.
Dear. But yeah, it was really interesting. It was the first one I've watched, obviously live in a long time and stuff like that. And one of my mates said, Cena's winning this. And then I just remember when obviously Uso won, it's just like, okay, I didn't expect that. I'm like, neither did I. But him winning is really mixed feelings. I mean, I've seen good things. Some fans are like, yeah, in main events, not really interesting. I mean, I don't know what you think, Mr. Isaacs.
Yeah, my predictions going into this were Charlotte Flair, which of course was right, and John Cena. That was my two predictions. And I'm not a fan of either winner, honestly. I mean, not that I dislike them as wrestlers per se, but I'm just not a fan of either one of them being the winner of this. I mean, Charlotte, she's hanging on by a thread at this point, man. I mean, she's just like, I mean, she is a great wrestler, has been a great wrestler, but like, I mean, she's like female Roman Reigns at this point. Like, just every time she comes back, she's champion.
Just on that, has Pancake Tuesday happened yet?
Has what?
Pancake Tuesday.
Pancake Tuesday. Well, she appears on NXT, I suppose.
Oh my God!
But
She needs to take some of that filler and put it in her butt.
I don't even know what to say to that, Annie.
I'm not a huge fan of Jey Uso winning. I like Jey Uso. I think he's charismatic. I think he's over with the crowd. But it's like I kind of said in a joke a few minutes ago. They literally have like 15 main event guys. And I just, Jey Uso's underwhelming. I'm sorry. When you've got all these like clearly better talents at the top of the card, it's just very underwhelming. And he's choosing Gunther, which of course is, I mean, that say what you want about it, it's the secondary title. Like the world heavyweight title is basically the intercontinental title, essentially. Which is ironic because I think Gunther's IC title run was better than his world heavyweight title run. But this is just not. I mean, it'll be a good match, I'm sure, but this is not like this won't be the main event of Mania. No, this is going to be the one time that the Rumble winner is not the main event. Whoever goes against Cody, that's going to be the main event. So that it does kind of diminish the Royal Rumble victory, but it also elevates the Elimination Chamber. So it'll be kind of interesting to see who comes out on top of the Elimination Chamber because that winner's going against Cody.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing stuff like that. So obviously WWE had some releases in it, and I think there's one which I think kind of irritated you.
Yeah, most definitely. Even Marie, can't believe they released her.
What a talent. I mean, the quintessential superstar. I mean, she's the closest thing that they had to a Kardashian. I mean, come on. A reality TV bona fide star. They could have made billions.
Yeah, I mean, there was what was it? There was a few that to me didn't really make sense. You know, it's very odd. It's very odd to just think that some of the wrestlers, you know, you invest in them and then they're just sort of like gone, you know. But yeah,
I was surprised about Sonya Deville. That one kind of surprised me because I mean she's got such a good look and like she was in the Women's Rumble and like I don't know. I thought there were some other women on the roster they could have gave the heave ho to before Sonya, in my opinion.
I mean, I was more surprised about Isla Dawn. That one really shocked me.
Yep.
You know,
that was surprising too. Yeah,
Isla Dawn. I don't get that one. That's a very strange one. There might be something more to that one. I don't know. But I mean, Sonya's falls into the category of Tegan Knox. Like great talent, but like there's only so many times you can have them injured, you know, before you sort of like. I know it's,
well, a long time she disappeared for a long time just because of the stalker thing she had. She vanished for a long time after that. I don't even think that was injury related.
No, but before that she had an injury and then she came back and then she was injured again. You know, that was so it is difficult. You know, I mean it is difficult.
Shout out to Tiffany in the house. Let's all show Tiffany some love. She says that she is also sad about Isla. Go ahead, Amy.
I think Isla will find her feet either in TNA or what was it, AEW. Hopefully TNA. But what was it? She's a great talent and it's just one of these sort of weird scenarios that it was only like a couple of months ago we were at Clash of the Castle. I say a couple of months ago, you know what I mean? I'm exaggerating there. It was only about six months ago we were at Clash of the Clash of the Castle and they were running the tag team titles and you know, and then and now she's gone. She's capiche. She's out.
Capiche.
You know. But at least to get ready to look. Gallows and Carl Anderson, two of the biggest fucking wasters in wrestling. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the list of obviously they've been released. I mean, Paul Ellering, Authors of Pain, Cedric Alexandra, Sonya Deville, which we spoke about. Blair Davenport, who I think is really underutilized. But you know what I mean? But looking at that list,
isn't she Ospreay's girlfriend in real life?
They split up years ago, and it wasn't very acrimonious.
Okay.
So I don't think he really gives a shit if you.
I was going to say I didn't know if there was still a connection there that might tie her into AEW or.
They're both in different relationships now. She's married to one of the NXT guys, and as well. So.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. So. I think it's either married or engaged, but she is very injury prone as well, you know. And what was it? When when you've got such a conveyor belt like the WWE has, you know, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one final thing before we get into the main event. The big talking point, which I know upset a lot of people in other groups and stuff, is Ricky Starks showing up on WWE NXT. Now, from what I understand, is he got released on the Monday but showed up on the Tuesday. So I don't know if it's a contract thing, Ian. You might be able to help me out on that one.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? I think, to be honest, from what I've heard, he's pretty much. I mean, he lives in Orlando, and he pretty much what was it? A lot of these guys wrestle in the same training schools and things like that. EW and WWE guys. So, as soon as the release happened, I'm sure they instantly went, okay, come over and we'll do something quickly. You know.
Yeah.
He's probably on. I mean, he was out. He probably knew for a few days or a week at least that they were finally letting him out. They're finally setting him free. You know, so yeah, that'll be interesting to see where that one goes. A lot of boo-faced people now that say he's not that good. You know?
Exactly.
You know?
But Mr. Isaacs, we've said it. Do you know what I mean? AEW's dropped the ball with Ricky Starks. Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this guy's loaded with charisma. You know, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that he's, you know, the greatest in-ring wrestler I've ever seen, but he's got a hell of a skill. He is good in the ring. He's solid. He's great on the microphone. They could have found something for the guy to do, but I think he's just one of those Cody Rhodes Punk kind of guys that the other guys are like, you're part of the wrong team. I don't want you around anymore. I think it's that kind of deal.
I mean, he burned Adam Copeland, the traitor, that much that he ended up jumping off a cage and breaking his legs.
Oh, he was legit pissed. You could tell. Like, they played it off afterwards like it wasn't a, oh, no, that wasn't a shoot. Like, yeah, you could tell he was fucking pissed about that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming into that environment, the guy that's been there since day one and then acting like the veteran just doesn't, you know, what was it? Didn't go down too well, you know.
Yeah.
But he did the same, you know. But was it he sort of played his cards that way when he was coming up, you know. So, but was it what goes around comes around, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, look at, you know, Edge and Christian. They made fun of everybody when they were coming up. But it's like then whenever they're like the grizzled, gray-haired veteran, it's like, oh, you better not take a shot at me, pal. You know, it's like, I mean, that's what they made their career out of when they got big.
Yeah,
I mean, taking the piss out of the veterans.
It's quite clear from that point. That was the point that, and that's part of the issue with EW. I think is quite clearly. He had a bit of boo face and he didn't really feature much after that, you know. What was it called? Somebody like, if you want to keep me around, I'm the bigger guy, you know. Not realizing they should be investing in the future. Absolutely insane, you know. I mean, I say the future. What is he, 30, 33, 34, Ricky?
We are looking. I'm not too sure. I'll have a look from that. I can confirm it. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Please continue talking in while showing up those stats.
Yeah, it was you know, so he's not exactly a how do you put it, a new kid on the block, you know, but was it he's got one last go, he's got one last what was it, round at getting that success that he wants, you know, and he's probably going to be what was it, a top middle card guy. Let's be honest, you know, but
he is actually 34, by the way.
Ah, cool. But yeah, what was it called? I'm sure people will get invested in it. You know, apparently the numbers that he did online through the socials are absolutely insane. It's on like 12 million views. You know, for
yeah. I kind of wonder if this is going to be kind of like another LA Knight kind of situation. A guy who comes in and, you know, he was always good elsewhere, but then he comes to WWE and it's like something just special clicks. And, you know, the crowd like really gravitates towards his charisma and his mic skill and his confidence. And I just kind of wonder if like he's going to get that kind of rub in WWE.
Yeah.
Well, and this is kind of like the, sorry, can you put it to?
So it's quite ironic. Like, I can remember years ago having a conversation with people and being laughed at because I said that, like, I was picking the first sort of big set of names to sort of leave AEW, and I said Cody, I said Jade, you know, I said Ricky, and the only one that's not moved yet is MGF. You know, what was it called?
You know who I
So
expect to be the next big defection?
Go ahead.
Kenny Omega.
you think?
Really?
I think Omega. If you read between the lines of some of the things he's been saying the past year or so, I think he's kind of over what's going on at AEW. I think he feels like he's kind of hit a ceiling there, and I think that he's going to be the next big defection. This is an ISIX prediction here, Istradamus, if you will. I think he's going to be the next big defection. I think he's going to have a really nice, if not short, solo run in WWE.
Interesting. So this
I
is
think
kind
it's
of
gonna
interesting
happen.
because this.
Yeah. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not a fan of that because I'm not a fan of Kenny's. But
Yeah.
what was it? I just don't like the way he prances off the ring. You know.
I think he's going to want his AJ Styles moment.
Yeah.
I think he's going to want to come in and be like the hot guy who's already kind of like 40 years old, but he's known and gets a big pop from like a crowd that is smarter. Not Tuscaloosa, Alabama. It would have to be someplace like Chicago or somewhere like where fans actually are going to know who Kenny Omega is.
Yeah.
I just think there's a lot for him to do there. I mean, he can work AJ Styles. He can work Punk. I mean, they could build money off of that. I'd like to see him work some of the big guys there in WWE instead of go to AEW, stay with AEW and just do these dinky, piddly ass tag matches with the Don Callis family. And then, probably do some shit with the Young Bucks when they come back. It's like, that's boring. I want to see him in the big league against some big name talent there. I just think that's more interesting at this point of his career.
It depends if he wants that or if he wants. I mean, everybody talks about. What was it? Like AEW, and this is going to play. This is my prediction. This is going to play out interesting in the next few years as they become big names and egos start to play out. Everybody talks about, oh, it's great AEW. They give these guys big money deals. You know that's not good business. That destroys the business in the long term. You know.
Yeah.
What was it? Look what Nash and Hall. You know, in particular, and the what was it? Obviously, they made sure everybody get prepaid contracts. You know, but they earn a hell of a lot less now, the main stars, than they did. You know, but obviously they're still earning millions. But I think is WWE's creating a lot of talent. What was it? If they get to a point and they say, well, we're offering X amount of money, you know. It's going to be interesting unless WWE's got it in a contract where they can't really like negotiate until they've like said go. You know, you're done. But yeah, I'll be interesting if that happens. I might not never even thought of that. You know, I mean, everybody's like going on about how the Young Bucks are great and they're different. You know, they're literally fanboys for the Rockers who were in the WWF. You know, and the Elite is literally what the DX was going to be called, and that's why they're called the Elite. You know, they're total fucking WWE marks, whether they like it or not. What was it called? But you know, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it definitely is and stuff like that. So this is kind of like leading to our main event and stuff like that. So should we get into it?
Yeah,
go on.
it.
Here we go.
The main event.
Bingo. So before we also get into our main event,
I love
Sorry,
how
what?
it's not Bam Bam Bigelow slamming not a member of Demolition. Or King Kong Bundy, I think it was. Not King Kong Bundy.
No.
And I always remember
so before we
I always remember the WrestleMania bit was the game Bam Bam Bigelow versus.
I love the audio of those old games.
I know. Like,
So before we get into our main event, hey, stop interrupting. Can I please continue before you interrupt me again?
It's the Undertaker.
Yes.
Doink the Clown.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to play the mid-session interval and say it after. Here it is.
Oh, it isn't time for going slow. Oh, the greatest flow to know is what's within. Is what's within. Is what's within. Oh, the fouler wind hath blown now, and onwards round all that we know. Great monsters hide inside halos, with jackals disguised down below. Oh, don't it mean to see them when shadows have faded? And the lion's been those pastures predicted in scrolls. Hey, don't live, quandary, family, glory.
You know, the hardest part with that is actually trying to like keep up to date with it. I have to watch it every Saturday morning just to make sure I'm up to date.
Yeah, that's a hell of an advertisement for the UK indie scene. I love it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's one there which I didn't edit because they haven't put the poster up for the new one yet. But when it does, obviously it will be edited. But yeah, obviously, as Mr. Isaac said there, that's the UK scene up and down in the over the next couple of months. If people want to go check them out, all links are in the description. Go support British Wrestling, Amy. That's right.
Yep, definitely. Awesome stuff.
Awesome, awesome. So, with Ricky Starks obviously showing up on NXT and stuff like that, this is kind of like the premise for the main event, isn't it, Mr. Isaacs?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole idea is what we're going to go over the concept of big signings and the impact of said signings on the business at large and the company that they work for.
100%. So we've got 10 and stuff like that. We're just going to go from each individually and we're just going to talk about them. So I'll show you the image and then we'll take it in turn so we can talk about them. So Mr. Isaacs, you can kick us off. This is the first one.
I chose this one. This was my number one. It was Kurt Angle when he signed to TNA because in my opinion, Kurt was coming off a run in WWE that kind of ended abruptly because of, his own.
He was coming off of something.
Yeah, his own personal issues of demons and pills and that kind of stuff. But make no mistake about it, Kurt Angle was still and at this time he was a bad motherfucker. And when he first came into TNA, he no longer was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna drink your milk." Like he came in with a hood over his head with rap music, and he was a bad motherfucker. And like it really did a lot, in my opinion, to explode the popularity of TNA. You've got this former WWE champion, Olympic gold medalist on TNA television in the main event scene. And I think that did wonders for propelling TNA from like that Fox Sports 3:00 in the afternoon to Spike TV TNA at primetime. So I think this did a lot for TNA as a company. And I mean, who knows if they hadn't got Kurt and the spark behind him coming in, who knows if they would have even made it past the 2010s. But I love Kurt in TNA, and it's my hot take, and I will die on this hill that I like the presentation of Kurt in TNA better than anything he ever did in WWE.
No, and I think you're right there, because the two things I remember about his debut is, one, the music. That was probably one of my absolute favorite theme songs and stuff like that. And number two, I always remember Don West, obviously, doing commentary for that. He was like, Kurt Angle's in TNA. And I'm like, oh my God. That's when I actually discovered Don. Do you know what I mean? I love his work and stuff like
I
that.
love Don West, man. R.I.P., man. He did such a great job selling TNA. Like, he was so fucking good at that.
But yeah, the thing is with Kurt Angle as well is, like, you're absolutely right. I mean, if it wasn't for Kurt Angle, I don't think I probably would have been watching TNA. But the good thing about that is when you watch like a big name, we obviously know what he did in WWE. Then you learn about other people like AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, just stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So you learn new people and stuff like that. I mean, Haney, I don't know what you've got to add.
No, definitely. It definitely created a sort of great transition for people into TNA and understand what TNA was as a company. It wasn't just like a shitty, like, WWE or WCW wannabe program. It was legitimate. It had real stars, and a lot. I mean, a lot of these stars became the main guys in the industry, So it was great that Kurt was there to be part of that.
Yeah, for sure.
100%. It's incredible things, stuff like that. But like I said, now Haney, you've got the next one, and I don't even know what he's going to say about this one, but I'll let him take it away. Haney, you've got Punk to AEW.
I always said it was going to be a failure. But this was such a big thing at the time. The debut was massive. He was going to be. It was going to be like the point that AEW started winning the Wednesday Night Wars. Even though it was a year in. What was it called? But the problem with CM Punk, which I always thought was going to be the problem with AEW, was they got him to spite WWE rather than anything else. They didn't have anything for him because the guys there wanted to do something else.
Yeah.
So that obviously then created that that awkward dynamic that they had in the locker room. What was it? I still think Tony made the wrong decision. I think he should have kept Punk.
100%.
But unfortunately he didn't. And what was it? And we all know what's happened since then. But to me, that was like probably one of the best sort of debuts that AEW's ever had, and it really cemented them. It was in pop culture because as much as they had like Piss Jericho, what was it called? He really was a top name that was known outside the wrestling industry. So it really transformed their visibility, and it brought in quite a bit of viewership initially. But obviously that tailed off a little bit as things progressed, but that's natural when somebody comes in. But very polarizing guy. But it's interesting to see where they go with it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Mr. Isaacs,
we all know what
anything to
happened.
Yeah, so this was one of my picks, and the reason why I picked it is this is the viral moment in AEW history. Was when he walked out. They literally launched a TV program, Rampage, and the first episode was Punk coming out to Cult of Personality.
Yep.
And it was just a huge, huge moment. A moment that AEW will likely never replicate ever again. They did drop the ball majorly on Punk, but I did include him on this list because of the fact that, it got Rampage off the ground. They eventually built Collision off of his back, although they fumbled that. And I just think that this really gave a shot in the arm to them that they obviously didn't continue, but they spiked over 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
When Punk came in. They're never going to hit 1 million viewers again, guys. Like, it's just never going to happen. They've dropped down to 500,000. They're just never going to do it. It's not going to happen ever again, which is unfortunate. You know, I wish that they would. And you know, when you talk about this, the AEW stands want to cut your head off, but it's because I want them to be better. I want all wrestling companies to be good. It's not that we want AEW to fail; we want it to be good. And Tony Khan made the wrong choice. And the Young Bucks, I'm sorry, they're sniveling little bitches. These guys are multimillionaires, and they can't. They're like, no, I won't work with him because he's mean. It's like, dude, how much fucking money do you make? Suck it up, sit down, talk to this guy like grown fucking men, and make money and do what's best for business. Kenny was willing to do it. I mean, like Punk even said Kenny Omega wanted to reach out and talk to him, and AEW lawyers blocked him and told him not to reach out to him.
And you know,
it's like the Bucks stops at the Bucks.
yes,
Pun intended here, because these guys have ruined it. They ran Cody off. They ran Punk off. These were the two big draws of AEW. Tony Khan absolutely made the wrong choice, and eventually AEW is just going to wither away, and that's going to be it. That's going to be their legacy. But they had a chance. When Punk came in here, they had a chance to do something special and be the alternative that they should be. And unfortunately, I think that moment's gone, and I don't think they're going to be able to get it back. But this was a huge moment, which is why I put it on the list.
You know, what was it? I remember because I was at All In, and they had the whole shenanigan of like Punk flying into All In, and they never even had anybody to meet him. You know, what was it? People like to talk about the unprofessional stuff that WWE did.
It's absurd. Yeah.
You know, what was it? Leaving like what was it? Fortunately, you had a guy like Punk who says, "Well, I'm a grown ass man. I know how to get travel about. I've travelled about the world." But that's not the point, you know. And it was great. But was it for the people that like him? I mean, but was it? We were in the, like there for a couple of days, the day before, and obviously the day of the event. And he was wandering about, like just like a lot of other AEW wrestlers. He was by himself, and then he was with eventually seen him again. He was with, ironically, sort of like the the guys from like. What was it? Malachi Black and Buddy and that they was hanging about with them.
Oh, okay.
Ironically, at one point, he was on Wembley Way, and over the other side, there's Jack Perry walking about. You know, obviously not interacting with each other, but they were in close vicinity, and we all know what happened there. I was sitting in the stands. I can't even remember what happened in the I think it was a triple threat match with the Bucks and Kenny, and it was and and all that, and everybody's like running about me. Their phone started pinging. There's been a fight. You know, and
oh jeez.
You know, what was it called? The news got out real quick in the stadium, real quick. You know, what was and from that point, he was pretty much out the door. You know, talk about unprofessional. It's quite ironic that he was made to sign an NDA, and then they sort of then showed off the video footage that he's not allowed to talk about. You know, which is sort of like ironic.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the thing what pisses me off with the video is like there's no audio, so it looks bad on Punk from obviously that point of view, but we don't know what Jack said to Punk Joe to go. And this is what frustrates me, Joe, as a fan. It's like, yeah, video looks like this, but in the other perspective, it's like, well, what did he say? You know, Punk's been around many, many years. He's not just going to go for somebody unless he's provoked. Yeah. I mean, that's what I see.
Well, you know, but the really strange thing about that, because he obviously did the Chris Van Fleet, what was it podcast, and they released that video, and what made it even more foolish is it backed up everything Punk was saying to the like the whole incident, you know. So the bits that they didn't show, what was it sort of ironically, what was it makes you believe that what Punk was saying was real, because literally everything else that he said that happened was in the video. It wasn't even like he was lying or anything. It literally happened to say the way he said it happened in the video.
But Haney, Tony Khan feared for his life.
Yes.
It was a dire situation. He was a reckless madman that was intent on killing everybody.
Yes. But it's Tony Khan saying, I don't know what I was going to do. Because he reached over and he touched my monitor. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die here.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez, man. That is ridiculous.
You know, honest to God, you know, it's mental to think what, like, it's like playground stuff. Literal playground, like friends fighting in the playground. You know, I'm not. We'll come and play with my gang. You know, it's just nuts, absolutely nuts. What happened over there? That
Yeah,
out of
exactly.
everything, out of no matter what we talk about today, that is the biggest throwaway money. What was it thing that's ever happened in wrestling?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I know
Yeah.
I've preached that over and over and over again. Like AEW is never going to recoup the amount of money they lost from that shit.
Yeah,
It's just never going to happen.
and people like to lie and say, "Well, he's not in it for the money; he's in it for the wrestling." Of course, he's in it for the money. You know, for crying out loud, he's a billionaire. It's
Otherwise, it'd be a non-profit organization.
Yes,
Like, it wouldn't be operating as a business.
But was anybody that's got an understanding of business knows it was a tax. The first 5 years as a startup was a whole big tax break thing going on. You know,
Yeah.
what was it? Just it's insane. It's insane. You know.
Did you guys see the big $400 million yacht that the Cons took to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it was intense. They said traffic was stopping to watch it go across the water. That's insane.
Yeah. Crazy, absolute crazy. So we'll move on. Obviously, we've got quite a lot more to talk about and stuff like that. So this one, see, I'm going to in no particular order now because I'm just going to go with it. So I'm going to pick this one, and it is, of course, AJ Styles, WWE debut. The only thing that pisses me off with this is Roman Reigns' face. Why did they do that? Why did they shoot to the bloody entrance ramp? It pisses me off when I actually see that. But it was also interesting with the music because I'm like, okay, I don't know this music. And then I remember Michael Cole going, the hardest free agent, AJ Styles. And we saw what he's doing with his career. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, this was a huge moment. Huge. Totally unexpected. I mean, I didn't expect AJ Styles to show up here. And I would think that most people would be lying if they said that they did. Like, did either of you expect him to show up here?
Not at all.
Yeah. It's just not. But the pop that he got was so huge. And I love the fact that he came in and they treated him like a star. They didn't just cart him out there and just have him be a jobber and get thrown out in 2 seconds like, oh, I don't know, Joe Hendry. They let him be a star. And I thought it was great. I thought the whole signing of AJ Styles was fantastic. And I thought when he first showed up that, you know, he was just going to be a mid-card guy and not really ever do anything. But luckily, Vince McMahon saw the value in him. And, you know, I don't know where I saw it, but somebody said that he said to someone backstage, why the hell didn't we sign this guy 10 years ago? Like, he was so enamored by him. And, of course, he's had a fantastic career in WWE.
Yeah.
You know, of course, he had a great career in TNA, went and rebuilt himself in Ring of Honor and New Japan. He had a stint as the IWGP champion and, you know, became kind of the longer-haired, kind of darker version of AJ Styles. And when he came to WWE, he's just done absolutely terrific. And he's had a great run there. And he's one of the very few people that like had a basically full career outside of WWE, then got hired to WWE and actually had a better career on top of that. It's rare. You don't see that very often, but AJ Styles did it. And that's why I put him on this list.
Yeah.
Not at all. Any over to you?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty special. You could tell he was quite emotional about it as well when it happened. You know,
Yeah.
I too didn't understand, but was it Roman Reigns' reaction? It was like I was like skewing his eyes, and he's like, "I wish I had my glasses. I think that's AJ Styles, but I don't know. I can't see. He's way down there." But oh, it is AJ Styles, you know. But and then obviously straight into a couple of great programs, you know. Obviously the thing with that, he'd Cena, you know, but had an amazing like first year run. I think he got unfortunately it ended with an injury, didn't it?
I believe
what
so.
was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it called? What was it? And then obviously came back and had another. He's had another great couple of runs. You know, I think he said in what was it? He said himself he's getting close to that bump limit. You know, the wrestlers talk about. What was it? What was it? Every so often he'll pick up an injury and it'll take a wee bit longer than it used to heal and things like that. And you know, and it's just brought from what I've read as well. He's like him. Guys like him and Xavier Woods and things like that have brought a great culture backstage into the WWE because they've basically. I mean, it's quite funny because you hear the stories about the veterans don't like the video games. It's like, yeah, but you look at it from the flip side. They've taken the drinking culture out the locker room to sitting playing video games. You know, it's what was it? It's probably for the better, to be honest. You know,
Yeah,
but,
I've seen people say like, "Oh yeah, these dorks on their video games. It was better back in the day when everybody was like taking pills, right?"
Something like
It's
that.
like I would take playing Mario Kart over like downing some pills. You know?
Yes, it's just like to hell with that Mario Kart tournament in the corner. I'll just have my Xanax and my Cocodamol.
These fucking pussies over here with their damn video games. Why don't you come over here and take a Xanny like a real man?
And there's somebody in the corner playing the arcade and it's going, Bam Bam Bigelow versus.
Oh dear. Let's get moving on, shall we? So, Mr. Isaacs, this one's next for you, and it is, of course, Cody back to WWE.
I believe you picked this one, but I will talk about it.
Okay.
Cody coming back to WWE was absolutely huge too. Like the response that he got at that Mania, it'll give you chill bumps. Like it was absolutely incredible. Where he obviously, for those of you who don't remember, was the surprise opponent for Seth Rollins, and I love the way Seth Rollins even sold it in the ring. Like he was pacing around, he was seething at the mouth. Hurry up! Who the hell is this? He did a fantastic job selling this too. And then Cody's music hit, that familiar music, which I think if it had been just some other kind of music, or like some old WWE music or some Smoke and Mirrors or something like that from his old WWE run, I don't think it would have been nearly as impactful as Kingdom's song.
I think it would have been funny them coming down down the ramp with the Stardust music, doing cartwheels.
The Stardust music. But they popped so huge. And then when he came up on that platform with the red, white, and blue and the blonde hair like his father, it was just such an incredible, like, honestly, that's one of my favorite moments in the history of wrestling. Like, that moment gives you chills. Sometimes I look that up and just watch the intro just because of how amazing it was.
Yeah.
And it was huge. Like, obviously, you know, Cody started a rival company and then defected from that company and went back home to WWE. Absolutely huge. Obviously, he's the number one guy in all of pro wrestling now. And I mean, arguably, that could be you could argue that at least in the modern era, that's the biggest signing we have on this list as far as business success is concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I actually like about this as well is like Cody went to it. We know obviously his career in WWE originally wasn't the best. He's gone away, he's reinvented himself or something like that. And he's come back, obviously, to where it all started in WWE. And you mentioned it there. He's so over, do you know what I mean? He's quote unquote, like you said, the company guy, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is the white meat babyface of pro wrestling.
I've got to sort of disagree with the sentiment that he didn't have a great career, and even he acknowledges that he had a great career in WWE. What Cody's problem was, and if you, in actual fact, if you can go through like posts like from me talking about it, even go back to like like even before EW, like, and it's quite, it's almost weird because I felt vindicated when he actually did the documentary about it, and I said the reason Cody left the WWE wasn't because of he was resentful because he promised his daddy that he would give him the world title in the Garden once he won it, and he never gave him it. His daddy passed away, right? That was his words, right? And that was the thing that caused Cody to leave the WWE. He was heartbroken. What was it? And he went on and did amazing things. He created that list, you know. He created All In. What was it? And as much as people like to say Tony wasn't anywhere around at that point. That the meeting was still to happen, you know. What was it called? It was what was it called? Tony was talking. If you follow the timeline, Tony was actually talking to Dave Meltzer and Jim Cornette because what was it? Tony wanted to bring back a sort of wrestling show around the sort of old sort of mid south wrestling, Memphis wrestling. You know, that was what he was planning on doing.
Yeah.
And then, but the big sort of what was it no for Jim was the fact that the Bucks were involved. You know, maybe to his detriment, maybe he could have done business with them. But as Jim says, he already tried to do business with them and they screwed them over, you know. Was it? And the stories there of like them not turning up for a Ring of Honor showing, you know, you like if you're the booker and the guys don't turn up, you don't book them again, you know.
Yeah.
So, what was it called? But I get that sentiment that maybe I'm being a bit biased, but I don't like this. I don't buy the sentiment of a lot of wrestlers, even fans that say certain wrestlers get a bad run in the WWE. You know, Jim Ross said many years ago, what was it? Three things either happen to a wrestler when they get to the end of their career: they get preachy. Right, what was it? They get drunk, or they die. You know, what was it called? What was it? And fortunately, I think that sort of what was it? Sentiment's been broken now with a lot of guys like Cody. You know, what was it? What was it? And it was just amazing to see him coming back. It was exciting. You know, especially seeing that the family dog's named after Cody. You know, what was it? So that tells you how much of a fan I was of his. You know,
Yeah,
so
just to obviously balance what you've just said there, Haney. Would you honestly say though his initial run was actually a success? I mean, he had his moments, but is there anything which like sticks out for you? I'm talking about obviously before he went away.
I mean, what was it? Let me just look up something just to confirm. But to me, he's like, I mean, when he first came in, he was green as hell. He even acknowledges that himself. You know, he was
even
brought
more
up
green
when they were doing
shorts.
they were doing the legacy thing.
Yeah.
But just to give you a sort of a sort of perspective on what was it, what he was in the sort of in terms of WWE, and because most of this is before what was it he left. So he was and he's a two-time Intercontinental Champion. He's a four-time Raw Tag Team Champion. One time, what was it? SmackDown? No, that was with Jay, wasn't it? That was a recent one. He was World Tag Team Champion 3 times, right? Once with Hardcore Holly, twice with Ted DiBiase. What was it? What was it? Various other things, you know. What was it? But he did all that. But was it some of the greats, like Roddy Piper, who were around for years, don't get half or a fraction of what he had, you know? So to me, I don't think he had a bad run. I think like it's got intertwined with.
I'm not saying he's had. I'm not saying he's had a bad
No, I know. Yeah, but it was. I don't think he's run. I think the sentiment around his initial was built around what the because of the Stardust thing. But the Stardust thing was a combination of his and what was Vince's idea. The idea was a payoff match with with his brother.
Yeah.
that didn't happen. It was and then obviously during that his father passed away as well, which really what was it like screwed him up, you know. And as he says, what was it he'd always promised his daddy that he would give him that world championship belt back. That's his words, because he was it took it away from him in the garden, you know. So what was it I think when he looks back he'll realise that his initial run wasn't as bad as or wasn't the bad run that it is believed to be. You know, he did a lot of great stuff during that first run. You know, but that's that's why people have different opinions on it. You know, which is
No, exactly. And that's one thing I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You know,
we're at 57 minutes. We've still got obviously quite a few. So what we might do is we might put this into a second part show. So, Mr. Isaacs, if you look at the remaining ones, you want to pick one to obviously close the show out?
Let me take a look here. Let's see what we got.
Eva Marie.
No.
Let me see if I can find Eva Marie on here.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to do a two-part show because we're like I said, we're nearly an hour and we've still got
Yeah.
5 more to go. So, and I don't think any of us can go for 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I could speak about like Eva Marie for 2 hours. She's just fantastic. She's just.
Well, I'm going to pick one here that I think will be a good, quick conversation for us, and that's Jericho coming to AEW. And this is one that I picked, and my rationale for this one is that AEW likely got a television deal out of having a former well-known WWE champion as like the top guy at that moment, the top heel. I think if they didn't have Jericho in that role, I think they would have had a substantially more difficult time securing television rights because he became a household name. A lot of people knew who he was. I mean, I think Haney said earlier, even outside of wrestling, Fozzy is a relatively big rock band. You know, people know who they are, independent of wrestling. The hard rock and metal community knows them for that.
Yeah, I mean, they were even at January 6th, you know.
his wife and his in-laws were. I don't think he was there. I don't think he was there doing the what is it, the whatever that spinning back elbow is. I don't think he was doing that to security guards, hopefully.
The Judas effect, to call it something.
The Judas effect, yeah. But I just think if they didn't have Jericho in this role, I think they would have had a substantially harder time getting on the air. So I think it was very crucial to have him in this role for marketing purposes. And I think he did a really good job of that. I think he served his role. I think he brought a lot of eyeballs to the initial startup of AEW and the first episode of Dynamite. And that's why I put him on this list. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I actually heard a rumor that he actually made it into the Capitol building and met Nancy Pelosi, and he went, "You just made the list."
I don't understand that.
I was a big Jericho fan. I'm not so much a big Jericho fan anymore. And some of it's not to do with wrestling. So I won't go into too much detail, but
I know what you're getting at for sure. Yeah.
Yes. I understand what you're saying there. He's took credit for the TV deal, which I don't think is not actually fully true. I think it was if what I gather is his father had pulled a lot of strings to help him get that deal as well.
Sure, it was a piece of the puzzle. I'm not suggesting Jericho was the sole reason why they got a TV deal, but I do think the marketability of a well-known former WWE champion certainly helped.
Yes, but I'll give you that. But that's also why I don't buy the sentiment that it's just a 5-year-old company, because 5-year-old companies don't have big household names that are featured in WrestleMania main events. You know, so like anybody that falls on that sword, I tend to call him an idiot. You know, because at the end of the day, they might only be 5 years, but you've got a guy there that's had multiple main events at WrestleMania and other events. You've got You've got Moxley, who's main evented the big events like WrestleMania and that as well. You know, you've had Daniel Bryan. They went over and became Bryan Danielson. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he drank some water or something, but it changed his name. I'm not too sure. The names that they give them over in EW are sort of silly, aren't they? They just switch them around. What was it called? You had all these guys that they went over there with big names. What was it? And it's sort of what it was a mistake that TNA made. I don't know why Tony looked at it and thought it was a good idea. They had such a great concept at the beginning. You know, and at this point they didn't even have. They had so much momentum. They had so much momentum with Kenny and Hangman and Cody and Jericho. Who was that? As you says, that was the guy that knocked it into that next stratosphere and sort of like visibility. It was even Cody. Cody then. I mean, what was it? He wasn't even known as like he was known in the wrestling industry, but you know, Dusty was known outside the wrestling industry. But what was it? Cody was like he wasn't even known as Dusty's kid. You know, that was Seth Rollins. What was it? What was it? But yeah, it was just that was definitely important part in AEW history. You can't really argue that. Bit of a damp squid, you know. It's a bit of it's turned into a bit of a lottery fart.
Yes. The one thing you got to remember as well, which I always think is like when obviously AEW started, the roster didn't do live TV. Do you know what I mean? TNA obviously pre-record the stuff, which is a lot different, but
yeah.
When obviously you got something like Jericho's, like you said, done live TV, he's done absolutely everything. So I'm not saying like a role model, but he's been there. Do you know what I mean? He can offer, the experience. Obviously, it's a little bit different now and stuff like that. You've got an incredible roster, but that's probably the way I see it. Do you know what I mean? Offering what he's obviously learned.
Yeah, I mean, you can't discount television experience by far because, like you said, these guys, they've wrestled in high school gyms. They don't know how to be on TV. There's no cameras there. Like they don't know how to hit like certain angles and timing cues and that kind of stuff. So they had to learn that from people, and there's no doubt that Jericho helped teach some of these guys how to do those things.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, yes. I mean, let's look at the product. I mean, it's quite clear that Jericho might have had one or two good ideas, but it's quite clear that Vince McMahon was needed there as a filter, to stop him doing all the stupid shit that he does for the one or two things that actually work.
They call that the Russo filter.
Yeah, what was it? I mean, look what's happened like with these wrestlers that have went over there. What was it? Moxley complained that he had never had free reign. Look at some of the ridiculous stuff that they've done. What was it?
That current thing with Moxley is absolutely ridiculous, by the way.
It's going nowhere. Like I've completely lost any interest at all in the Death Riders.
Yeah, the only death they're going to think is by comatose. It's so predictable. But Jericho believes his own shit. That he's and maybe there's an arrogance about it, and you've got to have that. And that was what's so special about Chris Jericho back in the day. He was different, but unfortunately, he's latched on to every little thing that became popular in AEW. MJF, Orange Cassidy. What was it called? Obviously, what was it? He did the.
What was that match that he did with Orange Cassidy? Was it like Mimosa match or something like that?
Oh God!
Yeah. It's like for crying out loud. Nobody's ever done this before, and he's had some unfortunate moments as well, like where he went off the cage and he landed on the cardboard. Let's be honest, that wasn't Chris's fault. That was a camera angle fault. That was a production fault. But but then they come out and try and sell it. Instead of like not what was it? Just what was it? Play up to it. It's just bizarre. It really is that the one thing that I this will be the last thing. The one thing that really irks me about Chris Jericho is there's an interview from him. What was it from back in the day, and he absolutely rips Hulk Hogan a new arsehole for for being the guy that stuck about, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, but the ironic thing is, when Hulk Hogan was doing that, he was in his early 40s. You right? What was it called? Chris Jericho's in his 50s now. You
Yeah.
know, what was
Yeah.
it? He trying to do all that. He's stuck about much longer, doing exactly the same, being exactly what he says he was never going to become. You know, and I think he's going to be very resentful for it. You know, he's going to be very resentful for it. But yeah, it definitely was a big win for AEW getting him. You know, and it was fun and it was interesting. That first event, when at the end of that match, and then Moxley comes down, that was like game changing stuff.
It was
you know,
big. Yeah.
and then they just shut it up against the wall because but was it within a couple of months you had the whole Dark Order incident. Tony then decided at that point that he was going to take full control. So anything good to him to that point really was Cody. What was it? He took full control, and then it just went from like disaster to disaster since. You know, and Chris, I mean, Chris is Chris. He'll just continue doing what he's doing. I'm sure he's having fun.
Hey,
Good on
I'm
him for
the
having fun.
learning tree.
The learning tree, yes. You know.
Yes. Yeah, so we're going to do a part 2 of this next week, and the next week's ones are a bit more, let's say, early 90s, 2000s. You know what I mean? That's probably a bit more, things. So stay tuned for that. And
Yes.
I've had a blast today. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing the greatest free agent of all time, and that was the Gobbledygooker. You know,
The Gobbledygooker. Yeah. What a tremendous signing, and very timely too. Right around Thanksgiving for Survivor Series.
Yeah,
I might be a twat and put Eva Marie on.
Yeah, the story of the Undertaker shitting himself because he thought that was what he was going to be is so funny. You know?
Yeah, he thought he was going to be the Gobbledygooker. I heard him tell that story. That was hilarious.
Oh dear. If you guys want to support the show, check the link tree out. That would take 12. See all our socials, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and stuff like that. Another interview coming up this midweek, obviously for hitting the turnbuckle, so let's stay tuned for that. As always, Mr. Isaacs, we're always busy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, we're always busy, man. I'm hoping that by this time next week, I don't feel like I've ran a marathon. I'm about to die, like I do currently. But yeah, we're always very busy, bro. Especially you, man. You're killing it with these interviews. I mean, hell, you're on TV behind you doing an interview.
Yes,
while
I know.
you're doing a podcast. It's very cool.
I thought I'd try that, do something different.
Look, the guy's even posing because I pointed it out. He was flexing his muscles right as I pointed it out.
Yeah, that's from Wrestling in Newcastle. Interviewed with recently with Rich Swift and a couple of friends of the show and stuff. But yeah, as always, man, I mean, it's helped me as a person. That's one thing I can take away from that. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Annie, we obviously talk quite a lot, Joe, when it comes to the interview side.
No, definitely. And I mean, you've got some really big interviews coming up as well. You know, what was it? So I'm looking forward to some of them. You know, so what was it? That'll be really interesting. I mean, what was it? What was it called? It's great to see. You know, you're going from strength to strength as well, so it's really good to see.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the Mike Quackenbush one. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? The Rob Drake one's interesting me as well. You know, that's quite a good get as well. You know, obviously with the progress and things like that. You know, it's I mean, what was it? You've had some great names on so far, and long may it continue.
absolutely.
100%. Stay tuned for that, guys. So, Mr. Isaacs, are you well enough to do the outro, or shall I hand it over to Annie?
Let's let Haney do it. I gotta
I'm terrible at outros. You know, I can do the I don't know. What was it? Yeah, no, Mr. Isaac should do it because I'm terrible at sort of.
Fair enough.
Well,
I just want to thank you all again for tuning in to another exciting edition of the Magical Wrestling Podcast right here on YouTube. And go ahead.
I could steal a line from Jim Cornette.
Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Oh, just before we go, what was it? If you're a Jim Cornette fan, it was little Harlequin passed away, and it's really sad because he posted a video.
Yeah, he
So,
loved his dog dearly. He talked
yeah.
about her all the time. So,
Yeah,
rest in peace to her.
he's heartbroken. It's just, I had a wee tear last night listening to it. It's really a shame, you know.
I haven't listened to it yet. I almost started last night, but I'm like, fuck, I don't want to cry.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to listen to this right now. I'm gonna have to wait.
Yeah. It basically, anybody that he says, people said that anybody that says it's just a dog are arseholes, you know,
Yeah.
which is true.
Yes, they
Because
are.
you've never, like, I've been through it 3 times, lost 3 dogs, and it's the hardest thing in the world.
Me
you
too,
know?
brother. Me too.
Yeah.
I understand. I absolutely agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, any final words, Mr. Isaacs, before we head off?
I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend and a great week ahead. And we will see you next Saturday.